It's August. That means we're not knee deep in NFL. We're neck deep in NFL. And right here on today's video, I want to talk about 3 teams that I think are overvalued in the betting marketplace coming into the season. 3 teams that I would look to bet not to make the playoffs if I were going to make them get involved with any of them. They're all lined in the 500 range. And I wouldn't argue if you want to play them under their season win total. I wouldn't argue if you want to play them not to make the playoffs. But 3 teams right now that I think the markets like a whole lot more than I do. Ted Savransky, Teddy Covers from WagerTalk.com. We really appreciate your support with these videos. Tons of free content right here on WagerTalk TV. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for your support. So let's start with, where should we start with? Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. All right, who are a team, we all love Minnesota and then the head coach in Minnesota, and he's winning Player of the Year awards and all that. And Kyler Murray's going to be. Did anyone watch Kyler Murray last year or the year before or the year before that? I'm not even convinced Kyler Murray's going to win this job. And the reports in Minnesota right now coming out of training camp are this offense isn't really working just yet. Remember, Arizona's paying Kyler Murray $35 million not to play quarterback for them this year. All right. Minnesota's like, oh, yeah, he's going to be great. I watched him last year. Kyler Murray's not great. All right. And it's a new offense. It's a new system. O'Connell was coach of the year with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. All right. That's Sam Darnold's upside. I'm not convinced Kyler Murray's upside is the same way. And everyone's like, oh, no, Kevin O'Connell, he did it for Sam Darnold. He can do it. No. And of course, the Vikings last year won, their last 4 games to go from 5-8 to 9-8. So it makes their season look better than they actually were. O'Connell's great. It's 43-25 record, And his quote, we're 35-4. We break even or better in the turnover department. I get it. But you don't have a quarterback that's going to avoid turnovers, whether it's Murray or McCarthy. And, this team had a top 8 rush defense last year, had a top 8 pass defense last year. I don't know if those are going to be quite as good as they were a year ago. When you look at this defense, this isn't exciting. They could be starting multiple rookies on the defensive line for Minnesota. My quote here, this defense no better than okay. Same with the offense. Last year, they finished number 3 in total defense. I'm not convinced that Minnie is nearly as good as the market's giving them credit to. And you look at that division, you look at the schedule. Chicago's good. All right. Green Bay's good. Detroit's good. Minnesota looks like a last place team again to me this year. I'm not bullish on the Vikings coming into the season. They're one of 3 teams that we're looking to bet either under their win total or not to make the playoffs. And of course, Minnesota lined 8.5 wins. They're lined as a 500 level team. I don't think they get there. Before I talk about team number 2 on this list, I do want to let you know about my track record in the NFL. 105-56, 65% with my NFL season win report over the last 25 years. I'm 17-5, 77% with the 5% big tickets. All this is fully documented. Check it out at WagerTalk.com. Check it out on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. My win report for 2026 is up and available right now. There are 5 plays, including a 5% big ticket. But you don't need to buy that report. It's $199. Get my full season NFL. Normally priced $5.99. You get it right now, $50 off. Use promo code TEDDY50. You get the season win report, get all the preseason, all the regular season, all the playoffs, Super Bowl, all 5%. There's no BS. There's no bait and switch. There's nothing more to buy. $5.99. Take $50 off. TEDDY50 at checkout right now at WagerTalk.com or my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. So it's ironic that the 3 teams that I'm saying I'm going to bet against, not ironic, but I didn't think about, they're all NFC teams, they're all AFC teams, but these 3 teams are all NFC teams that I think are a little bit overvalued in the marketplace right now. And the second one I'm going to talk about here is the New York Football Giants, the G-Men. Yes, John Harbaugh comes over, and yes, John Harbaugh had a tremendous record in Baltimore. And yes, there is upside with the Giants. All right, if everything breaks right, if all the key players come back from injuries without any issues, and everyone fits in seamlessly in Harbaugh's new schemes, and the new offense coordinator and the new defense coordinator, everything works out. Yeah, there's upside. That's a lot of ifs. All right, I'm not convinced that the Giants are going to be elite this year, not even close. And then again, Harbaugh's had 18 years of winning in Baltimore. Now he's coming to a franchise that has 10 or more losses, 10 of the last 12 years. There's a lot of stink there for the G-Man. Jackson Dart only threw 5 interceptions as a rookie. Now he's coming off injury. I'm not convinced Dart's going to have a brilliant sophomore campaign. There's plenty of film on him right now. You have Malik Neighbors coming off his ACL, Cam Scatterbo coming off his ankle. You're bringing in new tight ends and new running backs, lots of new pieces for this offense. New defense coordinator. You have a good-looking pass rush, but that's secondary. The pass rush better get there. I'll leave it at that because the secondary leaves me with a lot of questions. New kicker, new punter. It's not like the Giants are hopeless. I don't think they're hopeless. And I think the arrow, when you talk about where this franchise is going to be a year or 2 or 3 from now, I think it'll be pointed upwards. But this isn't a playoff team this year. I don't look as if, the G-Men are still very much in, we'll try to figure, they're plus 600 to win the division for a reason. All right, and of course, we're seeing, let me just check on that because that was a little bit early, but the Giants, is that plus 600 still? No, sorry, plus 260. I knew that was wrong. Plus 260 to win the division, and I think that I got to look at my notes better. And I think that still is a little bit high. And it's not like this division's loaded, but it isn't. There's some upside for Philadelphia. They have Super Bowl hopes. There's some upside for Washington. I talked about them in a different video in this series. And certainly Dallas is a team that if things break right for the Cowboys, could be in contention. I'm not convinced the Giants are in that same category. Giants under, Giants not to make the playoffs is how I'm looking for the G-Men. One more team to talk about in this video. And of course, when you talk about teams not to make the playoffs and not to get their win, to hit their win total, the New Orleans Saints are a very interesting story for me because I made a lot of money with the Saints last year. They were my bet on team down the stretch. And they won 4 in a row, and they made me money, I think, every week during that span. I had them at least 3 of those 4 games. I'm not saying they were right sides in any of them. I don't think they were. They were in a couple of them. But they're also a little bit lucky. And at the end of the year, what happens? Everyone goes, oh, look, the Saints, everyone's a positive momentum. Look, Tyler Shuck can play. And, I think the 2-10 start was a more indicative of what New Orleans actually is in the 4-1 finish. They did go 5-0 ATS in those last 5 games, and sometimes people get the wrong impression about a team. This was a bottom feeder team that was playing okay football and playing a bunch of other teams that had problems, and that can happen in December and January of the NFL. It's not necessarily going to happen every year that way. And I was like, oh, Tyler Shuck, he's the it guy. He's it. Again, I watched the Saints closely down the stretch last year. Shuck was okay, but this isn't a team with the arrow pointed upward. Let's not forget, they were bottom 5 in rushing last year. Shuck was number 21 in QBR out of 28, and that's with a good back half of the campaign. They're number 2 in dead money versus the salary cap. And they did it against one of the top easiest schedules a year ago. So the schedule was right. Now they still have this. This has been an issue, but the Saints spent literally 15 years kicking the can down the road on salary cap. Let's give Drew Brees one more chance. And here's where the ramifications come in. They have their salary cap space is not being spent on the guys who are on the roster right now. It'll be better next year, and the arrow may be pointed up a year from now for New Orleans. But coming into 2026, line 7.5 wins. I'm not buying it. I think the Saints are a team headed for a little bit of regression in 2026. So I'm playing the Saints. I'm playing them under their win total and not to make the playoffs. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for watching WagerTalk TV. Like, comment, subscribe to our channel. Take advantage of those special offers. Again, splashsports.com/WagerTalk. Password WagerTalk to take advantage of the $100 free play for the $1,000 Survivor contest. And, of course, my season win report available right now. WT.buzz/TC. Promo code Teddy50. We get you that $50 off the full season package. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. We appreciate your support. Stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content. Cheers.